All right, what is going on? Welcome to the stream. We are going to get into some charts. So basically, what we have today, we saw a little bit of selling last night, pretty much right after the open for the new day. And from there, right at Asia, we saw the sell off. But going into today's session, we have a couple levels in mind. It's a pretty straightforward structure. This is pretty much what we were talking about yesterday on stream, mentioning the fact that, yes, we are in fact starting to form this range. We're starting to form a range. So what does that mean? When we're starting to form a range, your expectations need to adjust for that. So we saw any type of big move to the upside started to get faded a little bit. From there, we're stuck kind of between two main levels. So we got this upside area and this fair value gap right here. The way I traded this yesterday is I was looking for the run to prior day low, just somewhat of a prior day break. And then from that point, we could kind of expect today's session to do one of two things: potentially consolidate just a little bit, or have a chance at maybe running these highs. I'm personally thinking we're going to stay somewhere around this previous day's range, or I'm sorry, this previous session. So when you have Asia kind of sell off the way it did, it really does kind of put things in a tricky situation. So you have Asia high up here. This was a sell off down to the prior day low, basically running out that area. So now where are we? We have a consolidation for the last however many, 15-minute candles, and you can see a slow drift higher during Asia. So, or after Asia, during London. You can see that these are some levels you have to play with, right? So my idea would be to expect the open to be a little bit slower, given the fact that we don't have much to work with just yet. It'll either be slower to the sideways, or we could see a little bit of a break to the downside. But yeah, that's kind of my main thought. My main thought is that, when you have a nice sell off like this and you get stuck between it, it's going to make it really tricky for anything moving forward. So we just watch our levels. That's all we can do, is just watch our levels and then just kind of go from there. Hey man, how you doing? Welcome in. Welcome to the stream. So we'll take it nice and easy today. It's going to be a pretty straightforward stream. I want to point out a lot of levels to you guys. If there is any trade opportunities, we'll present those as well. But all week we'll be up on live trading both. Well, no, mostly just trading this account right here. So we're working towards a payout on this one. I need like I don't know, 1,500 more. Then we'll pull out 2,500 and then probably do the same thing a couple days later. So yeah. What's everybody watching today? Are we just watching Nasdaq? That's what I'd be trading. That's kind of my flavor of the year. ES kind of same deal. ES is relatively stronger. Nice, we got my mouse down. ES is relatively stronger, but yeah, with Nasdaq again, it's just a daily range. So with this daily range, it just means don't get too crazy towards the edges. Don't get too crazy towards the edges. I am personally looking at futures. I'm trading futures. So trading futures with Project X through Top One Futures. Yeah, so futures is kind of the way to go. I find it to be the easiest market. I like crypto. I'm just not going to day trade crypto. That's for, years. I swing that for forever. But yeah, I'm trading futures here. So we'll be looking at pretty much just trading within this range. So this is where we're at right here. As you can see, we ran at that prior day low and we've consolidated. So whenever you see price action just sideways and kind of muddy and kind of compressed, you don't want to be doing too much because it's super, super, super easy just to get chopped up. So and this is how we want to avoid. So yeah, we got a little bit till the open, so we'll kind of just play it nice and casual till the open. We're looking at about 2 minutes till the opening bell. We'll go from there. with that in mind, we'll be pointing out any levels we see kind of come into play. And then, yeah, we'll look for some sort of trade. We'll play within the levels and see what we got. All righty. Yeah. So we got about a minute right now. On that opening, we want to just kind of take it slow. You don't want to do too much, go too crazy. There's no point in pushing it too hard on the open on this specific session for me personally. It's not a session that I am going to be really urgent to be involved in. It's sideways. It's sideways. It's inside a range. We already ran out that significant level last night that we wanted for essentially this day's profile. So our job today is to kind of just show you, at least for me, this is my job. I'm going to just show you what I like to do on a day that's likely to be a little bit slower. I don't want to overdo it. There's just no point for me. So, all right, here we are. Here we are at the open 9:30. You're getting a little bit of a push on the 15-minute. You can see we might get a break to the upside. So this is what we've been looking at for the last basically 2 hours. I'm going to be inclined to say that it's going to be a little bit choppier today. I don't personally think we're going to immediately run. So I don't want you guys to get the wrong idea. You can potentially get a trade that works here, but what are you basing your risk on? Because to me, I don't have levels here that I want to work with. So the fact that this pushes higher, it means as much as it could to push to the downside. I don't have a way to discern whether or not this is a real move or a fake move. So when I see momentum at the open, I think every new trader wants to just run, right? Just jump into it. That's what I did for like the longest time. I spent months when I first started just jumping in here trying to buy this breakout and then just folds on you. And you're just like, there's no point in it. To me, this is nothing right here. There's no setup. It'd be nice if there was. It's just noise at this moment. What you typically want to do if you're really just trying to find consistency is wait at least 5 minutes off the open. These big candles are cool, but you don't know if it's going to stop yet or not, right? I know someone bought the top and then got pushed to the bottom. Like that happens very often with these types of moves. I'd also recommend zooming out, you know, until we really kind of get a higher low right here, or we actually break this in a strong way. It's hard to say whether or not it's bullish. I would say we're on the bullish side, given the fact that we did run out that low and we've held, but I don't think it's a guarantee. If I had to bet, I would say potentially we go higher today, but I mean, you have all this mess from yesterday's afternoon. Another key thing you should be doing anytime you're looking at the charts is just cycling through time frames. And if not that, you should be looking at different time frames on different charts. That's probably one of the easiest things you can do. So when you make it an effort to cycle through time frames, you're never missing anything. So we get some pushes higher. That's nice. The cool thing is with trading is you don't have to catch every move to make money. You need to catch the moves that are really easy for you to see, right? So for me, if I'm in this trade, I don't have a stop right here. Like it'll just get ran. So yeah, here we are approaching this high. Nice. A little break above the highs. So we'll see if we get the momentum. I just had my dogs barking at somebody. You got Amazon. They're just like, yeah, let's just drop stuff off at 5 a.m., at 4 a.m. It's like, what are you doing? So you see how you're getting narrow candles kind of towards this high? This is a moment where the market really has to decide. Buyers and sellers really have to decide what they want to do here. Whenever you see candles either getting longer wicks or kind of tightening, it's the beginning of a decision, right? So it's either going to flip higher, obviously, or revert. I look at that as a potential consolidation. That's it. It could be a micro one for a trend higher, but personally, yeah, there's just not structure here that I have anything to do with. I mean, there are trades you can take. It's just not ones that I prefer to because I don't find any reliability in forcing my hand in the first 5 minutes. You know, I think new traders or anybody really, they see a bigger move and they're like, man, I need that. But after you get burned by these enough times, you just say, I want the ones that are easier, right? Some trades are just easier than others. So what I typically like to do is align with a key level. So if I'm looking at we zoom out, you have this prior day low. I would like to get long at that level if it's at the right time of day. This is a little early for me. We're talking, this is just a little bit early. Here we are right now. So if you're bearish, you have this one little gap to kind of worry about. I'll kind of point this out. If you're bullish, that's like your last line of defense. I don't think these candles are super strong at the moment. Anytime the candles get heavy on the pullback, if it starts closing near the lows, I don't really like it for an entry or anything. Yeah, you can kind of already tell that this might be a rejection here. But again, this is the last line of defense for me. Yeah, I'd be watching for early pushes in the candles that flip. So it pushes and then flips over. That's kind of the sticking point. So yeah, that's really what we got right now. Just it's an initial opening drive. That's all you had. And then from here we had to decide whether or not we're gonna like higher. See, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was kind of thinking we'd just flip over. So that's what we're seeing right now. Based on market conditions, I'm not surprised that this is a fade. I'm not surprised that this is a fade. We're not seeing the same strength that we saw, just like a couple weeks ago, right? It's a little bit weaker of a market, which is fine. It's kind of what I've been waiting for. And with that being said, it's just a matter of kind of picking your shot. So what you want to do when market conditions get a little bit weaker is you either want to number one align with the support level, or number two look to just fade any sort of really strong moves. So what I did last night, we had this tiny little push off the open into this 15-minute fair value gap. I faded that push. That was the trade that I took last night. So in that same kind of thought process, I would be looking at moves today, especially at the open, to kind of do the same thing. We had that initial push and it's getting faded so far. It falls in alignment with this right here. So we had a little bit of a gap up into the fair value gap, right? And then I just faded it. I shorted the exact top and took it off down here. So with this, you probably aim for something like that, right? See how it kind of just round tripped? Main indications that this was going to fade for me is I'm seeing it kind of round right here. And then the fact that we haven't tagged any of these levels, like you see how all of these are kind of just relatively equal. When you have a bunch of lows that are relatively equal, the market's going to want to pull towards that for whatever reason, right? It could be, it could be the magic fairies in the market, right? Like it could be whatever made up nonsense you want to make it. The idea is the fact that people were in a trade and probably said, you know what, this is a good place to put an order. The market goes right for that stuff. If a market pushes really aggressive and you're like, man, that was an easy trade, it's almost always going to grab you because it's just able to understand that. There's a certain amount of logic here. If you bought here, you don't have to have any sort of understanding of the market to be in profit and then put your stop right here. So that's what I see. A little bit of a higher low. So another thing I like to look at, if you have this initial swing point right before the open, or maybe typically it'll be the opening candle, the market might just run that one out. Like, there might be a good level and it might just run that one out. It's not often that happens, but I've seen it happen a handful of times where I at least keep that in mind. So typically, if you're trading back into the opening price, that's really a good reference. This 930 open. I'll go ahead and point this out because it often comes into play much later on down the road. You get the 930 open right here. You got to think about it this way too. If a session is going to range, it's going to kind of pull towards 930 and midnight open pretty often. So if you go back, you can find midnight open over here. So you have midnight open right here. Yeah, this would be in my next reference point, this bigger dotted line. But yesterday we did have a range, and this is kind of the approach we had. So we open at 930, we rally higher, we sweep out Asia high, and then we fade back into the range. And my target for the end of day short that I took right here was the 930 open, and it hit it perfectly at the last minute of the day on that last final push. The reason why this matters is because if it's a range, it's going to kind of open and close at the same place, typically speaking, especially on the inside day. So that means that, yeah, sure, the overnight session happened, but for the New York session, it just closed perfectly flat for the most part. So, yeah, I mean, you have some good scalps here potentially, but for me, I don't have a trade at this moment. We're going to keep watching it, see what levels kind of form. But yeah, I'm really interested to hear what you guys are trading. Are you guys on futures? Are you trading Forex? I hear a lot of different things from a lot of different people. I've been trading futures for the last handful of years. Before that was options. All right, getting a little bit of a push back towards the highs. So you got that higher low that formed. Just slight, right? Just slight higher low. All right, now back above session highs. You get this kind of action in a range, right? You need to sweep the outsides of it. So we have this opening 5-minute range, right? So you got the 5-minute high right here, and you have a 5-minute low down here, obviously. So when you're looking at opening ranges, you're going to have the first minute, the 5-minute, the 30-minute, right? Like that's kind of the process you'd look at. So if we're looking at the 5-minute right here, we can see that we did break the 5-minute low and close back within. Now we're breaking the 5-minute high. Now the question is if we close back within again, right? That's where it gets tricky. Like I was saying, guys, on a day like this, you could kind of already expect some nonsense. It doesn't mean that there's no trades. It just means that, like, hey, it already made a move to a significant level for the session, literally at the Asia Open. It ran for prior day low. So now I do think we are likely to move higher at some point. It's still going to be tricky because look at all this. Does this say conviction to you? To me, not really. I don't see conviction. I don't. I see kind of a base trying to form, but I'm also seeing that the market's at a pretty odd location, right? We have this hourly gap right here, down here. You have these equal highs up here for the most part, but you also have these significant shifts right here. I would call this a shift. I would call this a shift. And from there, it's like, where do we want to go? I'm thinking we might be trying to turn the page to the downside and start to see some movement past that daily fair value gap. But it really comes to be, decided. It's not set in stone just yet. So the way you should be trading this personally, the way I think about days like this, it's either do less or fade extremes or simply just try to stay in the pocket. I wouldn't overdo it in size because, maybe it kind of drags you through the coals a little bit. We got the slow fair value gap right here. I'm not too keen on fair value gaps that are inside a range like this because a fair value gap is a trending idea, right? It's a higher low, it's a lower high. So if you're in a range, why do you think some sort of price level is going to determine whether or not you break out of the range like that? A fair value gap is just an indication of something. It's a clue, right? It's a clue. If you're in a trend, oh, okay, that strong momentum, I should go in alignment with that. But if you're in a range, it's not going to have the same significance. So that's probably one of the most important things I could share with you guys today. Fair value gaps inside a range are not what you think they are. A fair value gap inside a range is a trap. You're moving sideways. Why would a trending indication work? It just won't. And you'll get traders that say, "Oh, well, if it overshoots a fair value gap, it's fine if it doesn't validate or invalidate the swing point." I don't find that to be true. I think if a fair value gap doesn't generally hold, it's not relevant. I would say in this scenario, you could be like, "Oh, is this an inverse?" Technically, right? It's a failure of a gap. I wouldn't really say this is the best entry for this. I would personally be thinking within a range. I would be thinking the sweep of the high. I'd be thinking like that. That's kind of the logic you'd want. But here we are coming back for those lows we talked about. See right here. We mentioned these right here. It's just too easy. It's in the sense that there's people involved here. There are people involved here, regardless of whatever trading system you use. This is a structure point. And now we're feeding back towards the lows. This right here, let's see. Yeah, that's midnight open. So we marked this one out right here. Go ahead and label these for you guys so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. But again, midnight open's a good reference point. These are the relatively equal lows. We'll make these yellow and little. Yellow and little. So what have we done today? Really not all that much. So we had yesterday's 9:30 open, cool. You had this point right here. But realistically, all we did was stab higher, sweep out a high, and then run for the lows. That's kind of textbook, if you ask me. When you had strong momentum at the open, right, push, it fades it, This is a day where it's frustrating to both sides because look at it this way. People want to be long, get stopped out when it pulls back. Maybe you get ran through on that gap. People who are short wanted down here. It doesn't quite give it. And then this is the breakout that, all the bulls get their heart broken on. This is the real trade. Let that 5-minute range form. And then in a range type session, fade it. Fade the first break or, look at it how you want. I would fade whatever signal you're seeing on that 5-minute when you're in a range because a range is going to do typically the opposite of what you want it to do. Most people want it to trend. If a range is kind of in play, then it's going to do that. So yeah, look at this 30-second probably. I'd be looking at this as the order block. Yeah, I'm a little late on the call out, but this is what we got. I'd be considering what we're doing here, right? So this push, I know a lot of traders would say, oh, it didn't reach the fair value gap. Honestly, in days that are going to be pretty strong to the downside, you're probably not going to get a pullback into the fair value gap. It's not necessary. The fair value gap does not make price go lower. The fair value gap is an indication that it will. It's showing you that there's strong momentum, but it does not have to fill. That's at least how I view it. So with that being said, you'd be watching to see if we could continue through the downside. We've already made a big move, so you have two opportunities. Number one, it'll either be a rubber band type of stretch, and you get that reversal. But typically speaking, I'm not looking to chase momentum on days like this. I personally want to fade extremes. I find that to be the best because ultimately, as we get into closer to 10 a.m., you are approaching that reversal time. That whatever, that macro, that whatever you want to call it, the new candle, it really doesn't matter. But my idea is that you'd want to watch this to the downside, but not get overly committed. So if I am interested in anything, unless it's like a pullback into the range, but if I'm looking for continuation, I would nibble very smallly, like just very tiny. Yeah, this is actually a really good move. When you look at the 30-second, you had this 30-second fair value gap. This is a really, really clean trade back to midnight open. You're talking, it's not a massive range. Don't get me wrong. 490 to 3, yeah, 490 to 450. That's like 40 points. It's really like nothing, honestly. But it's a clean move. Two candles, 1 minute. Here you are. So you're getting a little bit of a breaker now. Whenever you get an order block, right? This is what we call it, order block right here. When it pushes to the downside and then breaks back above, that's your breaker. Very simple logic. It's a failed bearish setup. That becomes a breaker. So where do we trade from here? 9:30 and midnight. Those are the two levels we're watching so far. I think today will be a nice short and sweet stream. I mean, we made $1,000 yesterday. I'll do a YouTube video on it today. We made $1,000 in one candle. Really can't complain about that. It was a really good setup. It hit our daily level already. So whatever happens today is really just my opportunity to sit down, and I wanted to see what price is going to do today. Because even if I'm not super urgent to take a setup, I still want to know how it's behaving for when I go to trade tomorrow. It's always a good idea to come on and like check in with price. It's like if you haven't seen a friend in a while, you always try to figure out how they've been. You ask about them. Same thing with the market. If you're not watching the market, go check in. Take a minute, look at the price. Because week by week, charts trade differently. It's not going to be the same thing forever. I wish it was, but no, the markets evolve. So what we're seeing this week is already a little bit different than just a couple weeks ago. We're seeing naturally a more bearish tone to the market, which I mean should kind of make sense. You had this run above the highs. Now you're fading, pull back. Now you're potentially going to fade again. So I'm thinking like that. That's kind of my framework. From high to low. What we got? Yeah, so we're pretty much pulled back into that pocket on the higher time frames. Levels, background, cool. So if you're a Fibonacci kind of connoisseur, this is what I'm seeing right here. From the swing high to the swing low, we're into that golden pocket, if you will. And then you can go one step further and you can look at it from here to here. We're also in another golden pocket from this most recent swing to this one. So what does that tell you about the session? I'm probably not super committed to longs. I know we keep saying that. I know we keep talking about how it's not really my favorite time to get involved in a long, but that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. So those levels to the upside, it's pretty solid rejection based on the recent swing. But yeah, I would just really play it cautious right here. You can always get an upset to the upset break, if you will, where it just kind of violates whatever higher time frame lower highs are forming. But to me, you've had a lot of time to get long and buy everything you want. You had all of this right here, which was a really aggressive reclaim. But before that, you had this endless rally. So with this endless rally, like you really got to be cautious, make sure you're not getting caught on the wrong side. Because right now it's easy just to be the last one in a trade, right? So when you look at markets, very simply, damn, there's a time for everything, right? So this was the time to buy. This was the time where they flushed out all the buyers. This right here was your last kind of push for them. At this point, after, the 14th, if you will, all of this, it's a little sketchy to buy. We're just late to it's late to the party. So it doesn't mean you can't buy. It just means you got to be a little more cautious because you get a lot of these wipeouts like this, right? A lot of people probably thought this was a good entry and you just get murdered. So I would be thinking more bearish. That's kind of my tone for the rest of the week, I would say. But yeah, that's kind of what you do. You just go from there. You don't need to know how to trade every single move. You just need to have a good understanding of why price might be acting a certain way. And then you just kind of align with that. It's not predicting, it's not this or that. It's simply looking at what is the most likely scenario. To me, I know it's going to be maybe a little bit harder to the upside. It does look bullish here, sure. But you have to think, is this just a rally in this new downtrend? Because this could pop up to any point and then it could roll over. Right. So the question is again, remember what we've been saying all morning about these gaps? If you have this gap right here, this 1 minute fair value gap, if we're in a range, what are we expected to do here? Since we swept out the low, there is an opportunity for us to hold, but I would mark this as skeptical. I would not be enthusiastic to take this entry. I would be more inclined to think it's going to fail. I would bet on the fact that this is probably not going to hold, or if it does, it's probably not the best entry, meaning it might be a little sloppy. That's what I would personally bet on. So make this a little bit lighter or something. Yeah, I would personally think it's not going to hold all that great. It might give you a little bit of a reaction. Sometimes you get that. You'll get one or two candles that kind of give you the hope and then it just flips. But even if it works, that's cool. I just personally would not like this entry here. But just based on all of the trades I've taken and all of the fair value gaps that I know have not worked because of just the trades I've taken, this is more similar to a trade that typically does not work than one that does, in my opinion, of course. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll keep streaming for a little bit longer. We really want to see how we resolve this opening range, right? So you did get a sweep to the downside. We have about 2 minutes till 10 a.m. So if you're enjoying the stream so far, leave a like. Let YouTube know that you are liking what you are seeing, so more people can see things that you like as well. But here we are. So you got that weak close on this one right here, little inside bar doji type action. Yeah, just a A little gravestone doji, if you will. This could hold right here, sure. I'm not super sold on it. It's not my cup of tea. You have 10 a.m. coming up, about 2 minutes. We'll see it and we'll be rocking and rolling. Yep. And then, not surprising, you're seeing a little bit of a weaker candles into this gap. I think it's going to start to do one of those where, typically you see a gap fail. They don't necessarily fail instantly, but they start to like just not be springy. They tend to take their time. They lag around here. And whenever I see hesitation at a fair value gap, I'm thinking it's going to fail. I'm already thinking it's going to fail. That's very typical of this type of setup. If it doesn't work really quick, it's going to fail. But we have 30 seconds. 30 seconds till 10 a.m. 10 a.m. is going to kickstart this in one direction or another. And we'll kind of go from there. What's good, brother?
Yo, what's up? Am I in?
Hey, let's see. Yeah, I think, yeah. All righty. Let me get this chart up
Nice.
here. What's good, man? How's everything going?
Good, man. Trying to get, you can hear me okay? I was trying to get my Bluetooth on here.
Oh, yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I was just looking at the charts right before I got on here. I haven't been trading much in the past like week and a half because I've been so busy, but quite the opening range there. Yeah, so this is
yeah. So
similar.
go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say that's like pretty much exactly how I was looking at it.
It's cool with people will get into whatever, like they're like, oh, I like this strategy or that. A lot of things overlap, like whether you're using a little fair value gap box or just higher lows, it's all the same shit in my opinion. But yeah, coming in today, based on yesterday's action, I was really just thinking we're gonna range. We have what happened right at the end. It sold off, then we open into this gap, sell off here. I actually caught this short it was pretty low effort, honestly. And when you hit prior day low, and we end up back in the range, what is there left to do? What is there left to do? It's just kind of chop. So you come into this, it's like, just kind of wait, look at that 15-minute candle. This is crazy.
Yeah, for sure. That's a nice death wick. I was looking at it on the 5-minute too. If you want to pull that up. So like, I was thinking if it breaks above those wicks there, then I would say there's a pretty good chance it goes to the high over to the left.
I would think so. I mean, that's a good point. Whenever you get above a key structure that's like been rejecting in terms of, there's wicks, that is like a real upset for the market, and it gets people to run one direction. It's just, it's real sideways, real sideways. But yeah, how's everything been with you? I know you've been busy with Top One and the things you do.
Yeah, man, it's good. We got some figuring out what we're gonna do for Labor Day, thinking up of maybe some new account ideas, and yeah, man. I mean, it's been every day. It's definitely something new for sure. But I don't know how many people are on here. I didn't come in to pitch anything, anyways. I was talking to Christian for all the people that are on. I was just like, man, I'd love to hop on one of your streams sometimes. Your content, dude, by the way, it looks awesome.
Oh,
I like how you do it with the almost like an old TV screen, and it's kind of like the it was like that viral meme that was going around with that music and the same font, but super good stuff, man.
Yeah, thank you. It's I'm learning a lot of things, so it's a lot of for everybody listening, there's not like presets for that. You can use just whatever like CapCut ones, but I'm making a lot of those font stacks, and I'm learning how to use Premiere, After Effects, all this shit. So I don't know why, but I have a little bit of a background with like design based things, so it's not terribly hard. It just takes forever to learn these programs in the beginning. But it's kind of making me enjoy making content again. I'm like, okay, let me make something creative versus just like nerding out on a chart. Like, dude, charts are boring. I'd rather make it
Right.
more
Yeah.
like more everything. You know, it's like it's not just
Well,
trade.
and
Yeah,
it becomes more like authentic, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because then if you're trying to be creative with it and you are like also too communicating a message of like, hey, this is how I trade, and also too like with your audience, that you can actually do this, right? Like,
yeah.
so yeah, no, it's good stuff. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
do you
trading's
use Fibonacci's much in your trading?
yeah, I mean, we had some fibs up here a bit ago. There are some nicer ones. I mean, obviously to the downside, if you're looking from swing high to low, we are kind of in this, you know, the 61.8 50 area. I mostly use 50%. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm never like looking at super deep fibs. I'm normally looking
Right.
at 50% and not always what people think in terms of like of a range. I might use like the prior day candle, if that makes sense. I'll kind of give you like I'll point that out a little bit right here. So when I was looking at the swing point up here,
Okay, so you go to the daily, right?
yeah, I
Right.
love daily
Okay.
is very, very important for me. Just coming from options and things of that nature, daily charts are very important. That's kind of what I was always taught. But if you look at like the prior day ranges, a lot of times, yeah, you might get it might go a little bit deeper, but 50% of the prior day range is typically like it's going to be a bit of an area where, you know, buyers and sellers are going to have a little bit of a dispute because when you start reclaiming half of the prior day range, it becomes the opportunity for the candle to close above that or below that. So I'm always looking at 50%. I find it to be super significant. If you go just through the daily chart, there's a lot of examples where you'll just look at a chart and it's like this big green candle the next day, it stops exactly at 50% of the range, you know, and there's just a lot of examples where you'll see it. I don't know why. You know, people are like, why does this stuff? I have no clue why, but you can observe it happen enough over time. And that's really all it is. It's like I think the why messes people up too much. Why do these things matter? Who knows? What matters is really just taking the best course of action against it. Because, man, I can tell you, like, just controlling actions really matters so much more than knowing stuff. I know more than I've known like ever, but like I've done way better not worrying about that shit. It's better just to kind of say, okay, this is an area where something might happen. And then if it doesn't, say, yeah, whatever. I got other things to do. So
Right.
fibs
And
are huge,
if
but
everybody knew the why, then like it would be
yeah,
way too easy. You know what I'm saying?
it wouldn't be fun. The magic would be gone. Yeah, it's like, do kids really need to know where Christmas presents come from? It's like at the end of the day, it's like let them enjoy their time.
Yeah, that's
But
a good example.
yeah, you said fibs. So I know you come from a forex background. Obviously, what have you been bringing over to futures from that? How are you
So
trading?
for my own trading, like making this, so because for anybody that you know is on here interested, I started trading in like 2015, and so of course this was before prop firms and stuff, and trading forex, kind of got into it like everybody does. You know, saw this girl post some profits on Facebook that was like, oh, I made $10,000 in a day, and you know,
Yeah,
obviously they're demo profits, but I didn't know that at the time. So I was like, holy shit, man, well, this is crazy. And then, you know, became obsessed and kind of saw it as a way that I could like take control of my own destiny a little bit, because I was going through a bunch of different stuff in my life.
mm,
Talk about it a little bit on my Instagram. You know, I was getting off drugs and like needed a change. And so I started to like channel that energy into being an entrepreneur and, you know, learning the markets and stuff. But, and then, you know, I remember when FTMO came around, I was like, man, I don't understand this. This doesn't make
yeah,
sense. But yeah, it's come a super long way. I think so long story short, I mean, you can ask me whatever about all that, but making the switch to futures was always hard for me. And I never pretend to be the best trader too, you know, like I've had some amazing months where you know, I made a ton of money. And then I'm sure you say this to your community and stuff, but it's
mm,
all mindset, man, because
yeah.
it goes 10 times faster than it comes in. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
but
Especially
yeah,
when you
making
don't
the
think it
switch
could
to
happen.
futures is
Yeah.
what's that?
Especially when you don't think it could happen. Because I'm looking at this year, I'm
Right.
like, I've had so much shit happen this year, and I'm like, just with moving and dude, I half my house doesn't have electricity right now. I have no AC, I have nothing, so it's just a headache all around. It's
Right.
almost done. Like I got a new panel put in yesterday, and now it gets rewired pretty much today. But man, yeah, like my mindset, I'm just like, yeah, just force it. And I didn't think I'm like I'm at a point where I'm not able to lose, like in my head, and I'm like
Right.
wrong, just floored by the market. So
Yeah.
mindset's everything. If you come in, you're like, you know, you don't care about the outcome, you're good. But the moment you start stressing about it, it's game over.
Yeah, I mean that gets back to, you know, trading in the zone, Mark Douglas 101, that it's like at
Yeah.
the end of the day, especially in the short term, that it is a game of probabilities and stuff. And I like to win too, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist. You know what I'm saying? So that like makes it that much more tough, you know. So and then it turns into like a downward spiral of like, oh man, you know, maybe I can't do this or whatever.
Yeah.
Like imposter syndromes, everything sets
Yeah.
in, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's tough, but like, you know, if you stick with it and, you know, really like, man, everybody says this, but I do think it's true. Like for whatever you're doing, like fall in love with the process rather than the results, then that's when you can start to like trend upward in like a more realistic way, you know, rather than like, because everybody has a beginner luck and winning streaks where you're like boom, 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 right? But dude, that roller coaster is exhausting.
Oh man, yeah, it's the worst. You want slow and steady. I mean, when I look back at like some of my best trading, none of it's hard. My worst trading is extremely hard though. It's like it's really hard to do. It's hard
Yeah,
to overtrade. People think it's not. It really is. It's
yeah.
and
It's
you
easy to
never
push the button, but it's the rest of
yeah.
the day sucks ass.
It never starts like it never starts bad when people are like over trading. It's
Yeah,
like you know, it's like pulling out a thread on a sweater. Like it's no big deal. And then you have no sweater at the end of it, and you're like, why did I do that? Like
right.
literally last week. So I had one session where I was like a little rocky with session. I'm like, this is kind of annoying. Got back to break even on one trade. I'm like, okay, cool. The market's going to start behaving as I expected. Wrong. Walked it all the way back. Had a biggest red day I've had in a long time. And I'm like, how the hell did I do that? I'm like, how did I do that? Like I was down like $600. Got back to 170. I'm like, fine, no big deal. That was a really smooth trade. Thought I was on the right page. No, walked it all the way back to like minus like 1700 or some shit. And I'm
Right.
like, I have no reason to be doing that. So,
Right.
because all my
When you
other
could have
days have
walked
been like,
away with like the green day of being
yeah.
$170 and
And I'm like, it didn't register to me. And I'm like, part of me, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I'm a little like frustrated or whatever, just from like this heat wave and stuff we've had in California. I also have no insulation in my house. So it's like, it's a perfect storm, but almost over. We're getting a new roof as well soon. So it's just been hectic
are you
here.
in LA?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like
So it's been like, I kid you not. It's I'm about 30 minutes from LA, but it's been
okay,
like 80 in my house at like 8 or 9 p.m. Like I'll be sitting on the
right.
couch at 10 p.m. and I'm sweating. Like no, it's just brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we've had like 100-degree weather for the last like however many weeks. Like at least a couple. It's been like 90. I think yesterday was like a little bit cooler, but it's been 92 and shit. It's just brutal. It's like historic heat waves or whatever they're saying. I don't know. I don't know. It's chemtrails. That's all I know.
Right, probably
Yeah,
for
it's
sure, dude.
and when they're
But yeah, and then I okay, how do I say this? I think Forex is way harder than futures because it's not a centralized, you know, system like the CME. But I think for me with my trading style, which is more of kind of a momentum base, find a pull, establish a trend, find a pullback in the trend, and then ride it for a higher 3 or 4 risk to reward. It's hard to do on a minute time frame or 5 minute. I always kind of preferred the 4 hour and where I could put a trade on and kind of walk away, you know, at least try not to look at my phone so much, but
yeah.
you can't really do that with at least prop futures. And then if you want to open a broker account, you need a lot of capital in there, you know? So
Yeah, people forget that part. They're like, oh, why don't I trade personal? It's like the reason you guys are going to have a hard time trading on a personal account is because of margin requirements. It's not because of cash. It's like it's just the amount of margin you have to have. And people are like, oh, you could use like a low margin broker, and it's like the overnight margin changes for those guys. So you're not going to be able to swing it the way you think you are. Yeah, futures are legitimately the easiest way to go with that stuff. But yeah, out of the three, what do you like? YM, Nasdaq, you like ES? Which ones?
I like when I'm trading it well,
Mm,
NQ usually,
yeah.
but because it's just fast. I do like YM too.
Mm,
ES is a little slow for me, I
it's
guess,
so
but
slow, yeah.
yeah, I mean, and I usually stick to micros too, like MNQ. That's my go-to. I try
Mm,
not. I've try not to bounce around to too many options, too many instruments.
yeah.
That's a nice break of that range high there. Is that what you're looking at?
I'm looking at it. I mean, I think I'm personally kind of just done for the day. My trade yesterday was super easy. You know, I with
Okay.
6 micros was $1,000, and like, I mean, it hit in one candle. When it did, I don't know what happened, but it was like a 100-point candle. So I'm gonna do a video on that
Right.
in a little bit. Um, I think we're gonna kind of just mess around with this range. So what I like to see sometimes is, especially when we're ranging, I like to fade extreme. So if we're looking at, like, the downside break, I like to trade it back into the range, because if we're in a range, my idea is that we're going to kind of just, upset people at the highs and at the lows. So whenever I'm marking at a level, it can absolutely kind of keep going, but I'm looking at it like, okay, cool, it already tagged that level, and now what are we going to kind of do? But I do see where it's kind of building support. That's the other thing. It's like it's tightening near the high. That's a pretty good indication that it could break as well. So,
Yeah.
how do you see
If
it?
you if you zoom out maybe on the 5 minute
Yeah.
and go, what I would do is zoom out a little bit more, and I would take a fib from the high and then to the low, of
Mhm.
course. And I generally target like a 78 points. I call it my pull
Yeah,
zone.
that's a good point.
Yeah, yeah. I think you've probably seen on my story 78.6 in between the 78. Yeah, which is very similar. Obviously, it's splitting straws there. 78 and then 0.91, so 91%. And I like that as a target, and I
Mhm.
also like that as a place to short positions
Yeah.
too.
I wasn't even
Um,
thinking about it that way. That makes sense though. When you're looking at a range, if fib goes both ways, you have to pull back into the area. Yeah, I do think this is possible. I mean, we really just have to get what we've been working through is this weird sell-off thing. I don't know what this was, but this was the trade that I was in. Where it's just one candle on the 1 minute, that was 91 points or something. So once we can work past through this, like, yeah, we do have a decent shot up here, but it's really been fighting.
yeah,
Really been
yeah.
fighting. So with
It would be
futures,
nice
yeah.
if I took a long right here, I
Mhm.
would. I mean, it does look like it kind of wants to break that
Yeah,
high.
it's starting to tighten for sure. I see it. I see it.
And I'd look for some sort of pullback within that, like, maybe a smaller pullback for an
Mhm.
entry.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely work. It does look good. So, are you ever looking at volume when you trade futures? Or I know
Ah,
forex
man,
you don't really
not
have
really.
volume. Yeah, no, I
It-
don't. I don't usually. I know how to read volume, but I don't normally care about volume.
yeah. I know Austin uses Bookmap a lot too. I think
Mhm.
it's a super badass tool for
Yeah.
sure. Uh, I think with Bookmap too, or any type of volume situation, you
Mm.
can drop pretty much most. I mean, you don't use any indicators anyways, but you
Yeah.
could kind of trade strictly off the volume.
You really can. I mean, I know forex obviously a little different than like stocks, but what I started with is like trading basic candlestick charts, VWAP, and then we'd use like level two, that little box, with all the order book basically, but it's
Right.
a redundant kind of version of Bookmap. You also have time and sales. It's so wild because people think trading is so scientific, but if you learn how to read time and sales, it's not about like, oh, this is that. It's about like seeing how it's flickering between buying and selling, and it gives you an indication on if it's going up or down. And that's stuff that, like, St. Lucci uses, but you look back in time, traders legitimately used to read transaction receipts to get a good
Right.
indication on where price was going, which is kind of crazy to me. I have a painting in my living room that I got as a gift for just like Christmas or something. And it's like some dude just literally reading transactions out of the little
The
tick.
ticker tape.
Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
trading started. It's crazy. Nowadays we have people trading from their phone. And back then it's like these dudes had suits on, had to go to the office and shit just to read some transactions. Yeah, it's never been easier, I don't think. But traders kind of forget that part. Like we can trade other people's money. We could trade literally.
Right.
You could get funded instantly.
Yeah.
Back then, it's like, dude, good luck finding something. Good luck knowing
Or
about it.
spend 2 years at a
Yeah.
prop desk, you know what I mean? To where they, you can qualify for the capital after you really prove yourself and pay your dues, basically, literally, because most people you'd have to put in 10, 20 grand.
Yeah, isn't that crazy how it's just evolved so much? I mean, I
Yeah,
don't think people will really consider that.
for
Markets
sure.
have so much opportunity, and it's like, dude, you don't have to go through. It's like back then, it's like you're probably paying your dues. It means getting people coffee and shit too, probably at some
Yeah,
point. Like, dude,
100%. Okay, so this looks super good now.
yeah,
Right?
it's starting to get real strong, I think.
So I would maybe look for some sort of pullback to get in on the long side, and with the stop below that low.
Yeah, honestly, especially with NQ because you get just one of those rogue wicks. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So how's everyone doing with the live trading, live program itself?
It's coming along, man.
Yeah.
Tanner's doing awesome on it. He's been already taking a few payouts.
Oh, yeah.
We have, I think, about 12 to 15 super live traders that are doing really well,
Yeah.
doing solid. Oh,
Oh, bless
it's
you.
hard though, because man, somebody crushes it in the sim environment.
Yep.
And then goes over to live and trades completely different, either because it's a psychology thing about it being live, or and this is the conundrum of trading props, because most people know that you can use the risk to reward in the daily loss limit as a stop, and then if you get taken out, you can buy another account or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So, which doesn't work in a live environment because you don't get taken out,
Yeah.
So people end up in drawdown or losing the accounts really fast. And so, that has definitely been a learning experience for sure. But
It's like
it's coming along.
I mean, it's good to hear. But yeah, it's so funny because it's like I feel like most traders when they first get into their eval and they pass that, they do the same thing where they're like they don't know how to trade. They kill it in a combine or a challenge or elite account, and then they get funded and then just nuke it. So
yeah, totally. It's like literally almost the same thing as like when you're learning to trade and you're trading in demo and you're like,
yeah,
oh, man, this shit's easy, dude. I just did 100x return, and
yeah.
then you go on live, then you go on a live account and blow it in a day.
Yeah.
Which, I think everybody's been there, at least, especially if you started trading maybe 4x from a broker or but a lot of people that start trading these now have only traded props, which is like the opportunity of it, to be honest.
Man, dude, you know how much money I had to lose personally, like before prop firms existed when I was learning how to trade options? Because you can't trade options with a prop firm. There's nothing
Right.
for it. It's like, all right, let
Yeah.
me just load up a couple grand, no big deal. But just gone. You could lose all in one trade if you wanted to. Like,
Yeah.
it's really not that hard in options. Just buy zero
Yeah.
DT. They expire the same day, and you can melt however much money you want. So yeah, props. I tell people, learn an eval, but practice and grow in a prop firm because your downside's limited, and it also gives you number one, either if you're doing a challenge, it's a good goal to reach for, or number two is just structure. Daily loss limit. Like if you're using Project X, which I don't know why any futures trader wouldn't, that's like my preferred platform. That's why I trade with Top One, because Project X is just good. It's I have had people tell me they're like, I wish I had like my actual broker on Project X. Like they're like, I can't find anything good for my personal account. And it's the risk settings. No one else. I don't know why it took so long for anyone to do that.
Yeah, it's literally set up just for prop trading.
Yeah.
So dude, this looks is doing exactly what we were saying.
Yeah, I mean, you could even call this kind of the higher low. I mean, you do have a swing point there. It's, it's a little tight, but yeah, it's a swing point.
You mind
moving
going
nice.
to the 5 minute? I just want to kind of look at that. Right. So
Yeah, that's a nice move.
There it is. Hopefully,
Yep.
somebody on here can hit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, someone for sure. They had. I mean, it's a clean move. That's a cool thing about good trading. You have logic, it makes sense, and it performs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
look at that. It's beautiful.
I'm not in it, so that's why it is doing this.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm I have a couple things like I'm very good at like if I have a really easy trade where it's like almost doesn't feel like it should be that easy, I'm allergic to touching the market because I'm like there's no way I'm going to feel better after anything. If I hit a trade and it's perfect, I'm like that wasn't hard at all. I'm not going to ruin that because like you said, you know, you get a little like obsessive about things. Same, I'm the same way. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. For
yeah, I'm
sure.
a bit of perfectionist with that. So if I have a good trade, I'm just leave it alone. But
Uh,
this is a nice move, yeah, very nice move. But you know, also a lot of trading too. It's people think you know you come into a session like I know a lot of people at home they're just busy trying to do something on the charts. A lot of days you're better off just taking it slow, kind of having the same kind of dialogue with yourself, right? Like, oh, I see this setup's developing. You know, sip on some coffee and take your time with it. You don't have to rush into every trade. You know, if you see all of this right here, it took 30 minutes for anything to happen. So it really
It's
is a
kind of nice that
matter.
I like
Yeah,
walked into it after the structure was built. It makes
yeah,
it much
yeah.
easier to call. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
really, it really is. I mean, that itself should be a huge tip for anybody. Treat every day like you're not in a rush. You know,
Yeah.
some days, sure, it's ready to move off the open, but anybody in here since the beginning, it's like I was like, all right, there's nothing to do right now. It might move a little this or that, but it's really not going to go anywhere until something starts to develop. And we're starting to see that curl to the upside, which is nice. Gotta love it. But yeah, you got 5 minute close right here. Cool. Yeah, very clean. So nowadays, I know you travel quite a bit. You know, enjoy getting out and about. But what's your normal kind of daily routine like at the moment?
Um, man. So usually around 6 a.m. Wake up, do some sort of meditation for like 15 minutes, and then I have like a thing I call my manifesto, which is like
Uh,
my uh basically affirmations of like my
mm,
perfect self. So if I was going to be, the ideal Clay,
right.
right? So that, and then I read that to myself. So I go into meditation, then read the manifesto, and then I've been taking Portuguese lessons.
Oh,
So
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, it's Brazilian Portuguese, so
Yeah.
it's super hard, dude. Because I speak Spanish, okay,
Right.
like well enough to
Yeah.
understand what people are saying,
Yeah.
and then when I'm like in the heart of it, I can communicate. But I thought there'd be more crossover, so I've
No.
been doing that.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
a lot of those languages. You're like, it's just, no, it's not. Yeah.
right, exactly. Um, but yeah, so I've been doing that, and then usually we start doing calls for top one, different Zooms with different people that are on our team from around 10 to usually ending at 2 or 3, and then
Mhm.
try to get the gym. I've been up here at my family's farm up in Kentucky. I go down back to Florida on this weekend,
Uh,
and then I'll go to jujitsu at night. And that's my full on try to hit the gym 3 times a week.
there you go. Yeah, I mean, especially doing like jujitsu and stuff too. It's like you're not trying to do too much like heavy lifting all the time or anything like that. Because I feel like it just kind of be counterintuitive a little bit. Because I know how I get with like lifting heavy. I get super rigid.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yoga's definitely great for that too. I
right, yeah,
mean,
that's a good point.
for sure. So, I mean, the strength helps a lot,
Mm,
but I mean, if I was 25, I'm 40, unfortunately. So, but I still try to go about it like I'm
mm,
25 or 30. So, probably overtrain quite a bit, but it's more of just like a mental health thing, anyways. And two, people that are on here. And by the way, if you have any questions too about top one or whatever, feel free to throw it in the chat. But yeah, I mean, like, especially trading, you can just be on the charts all day, and I didn't have like any social
yeah,
life.
yeah, that's
And so
true.
that's where it's really, or any like positive male interaction. You know, I mean,
Mm.
I could go to a bar or something, but that's not very, that doesn't help me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So where it's like people care and there's
Mhm.
a good culture and stuff at the school I'm at. So that's where it's really been helpful for my mental health and spiritual health and stuff, I would say. It's fun. I bet you'd be a savage at it, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I did a little bit of judo and jujitsu,
Oh, nice.
back in, like, high school. I was wrestling too.
Oh,
I
okay.
probably need to get into something like that. I know, like, honestly, ever since moving, my routine and schedule has just been garbage just because this I did one thing really bad. I thought the move would be super easy. Wrong. No, not even close. We've had so many things happen. We've already had, like, a major plumbing like half the house redone. We had to do pest control here for like just in Whittier. There's a lot of like wildlife and like ground squirrels and rodents and stuff, just because there's a lot of fruit trees and stuff. So I had to get some stuff like that taken care of. It's just been endless. And then yeah, like the electricity is so I thought it'd be easy, and plus the move wasn't far, so I'm like, it'll be just down the street or whatever.
Are
No,
you out of
headache.
like the city or?
Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty quiet over here. I'm about 30 minutes from LA. Uh, but yeah, everything's old at this house too. It's a very nice area, but it's just a super old house. Thought it'd be easy. I'm like, yeah, no big deal. This morning, like for instance, I'm making coffee. There's no lights in the kitchen. Like it's been like that for since I moved in.
Right.
That was brutal. I mean, I walk around with a flashlight on half the time. But I do think doing some sort of like because I'm not trying to power lift anymore. I think those days are kind of past me. I don't want to get hurt. You know, I've already
Yeah.
squatted 650, deadlift 800. I think I'm good on that. I'd rather do something maybe a little more like jujitsu or something. Um, yeah. What you said you like
And
the community a lot. Like, what else really brought you to that?
to jujitsu?
Mhm.
The community, obviously, you know, wanting to be able to defend myself or
Right.
whatever. But more than anything, the just man in our culture, especially as like men, you know, we're like pretty soft in
Yeah. Really.
comparison to our, you know, ancestors and stuff. And we're not meant to be sitting in chairs all day and
That's
whatever. And
true.
so it was just I was getting super bored and burnt out too of just like going to the gym. You know, you go to the gym, you put your music on,
Yeah.
and you can be there around people, but you're not there.
Yeah.
So you know, I thought it was just a different way to get some exercise and interaction and more than anything, the community for sure. Which is cool though. So now, you know, I got tied in and I've been to Brazil twice and
Right.
going back in
Yeah.
November to Rio, which is a pretty crazy place. It's awesome out there. And, you know, so I like to do sports like kite surfing, skiing, anything that's more like kind of adrenaline type,
Mhm.
you know, activities, not like your standard whatever. So, and it definitely fits into that. And it's like the culture of it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, dude, you would be great at it, and
I mean,
also too in LA. I mean, dude, you have like some of the best schools in the world out there.
there's definitely a lot out here. My sister-in-law and her husband, they do a bunch of jujitsu. I think he's like a brown belt or something. I don't know.
Nice.
Should probably ask him about it.
Yeah, I'm still a white belt, but I should be getting my blue belt soon. I've been doing it for
Hey,
like a year and a half.
that's
So,
better than nothing, honestly. That's better than what most people could say. Most
well,
people do not stick to stuff for a year. Let's be real. Like they don't do
yeah,
anything.
yeah,
So,
totally. And
but
also too,
yeah.
at first I was like, or there for a little bit, I was like, oh, dude, I should be a blue belt by now. But
Mm,
really now I don't even care
right.
because honestly, I would rather not be one than be one that just gets my ass kicked every day,
Right.
you know, by maybe a super athletic white belt kid that's like, you know, 22 that's wrestled his whole life in high school or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, it
Which I mean,
makes
dude, if you've already
sense.
been doing judo and
Yeah.
wrestling, it'll cross over
I
great.
feel like it will, yeah. I'll have to give it a shot, but yeah, man. I mean, you pretty much called this move. I think it'll probably kind of drift higher. But is there any last thoughts you kind of want to share with everybody before we kind of hop off? I know we've been going for a little bit. Don't want to bore people out, but you know,
Yeah.
appreciate
No, man.
everybody hanging out.
For sure. If anybody that's on here wants to shoot me a message, or you can follow my Instagram. I don't really do much on Twitter.
No,
I
I
probably
can't.
should. Dude, it's just so toxic, man.
I hate it there. I hate it.
I spend enough time on more than enough time on Instagram anyways, but my
Yep.
Instagram's
Yeah.
clay.b.hodges. We have some cool promos that are coming out now, or for Labor Day. So, you know, I'm thinking up of a different account type, maybe that's like maxed out at a 50K account, but where you can copy like 7 of them.
Gotcha.
And, you know, that would cost around like $120 a piece.
Yeah, that could be crazy.
You think traders would like that?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to what people think is important for their intraday trading, right? Like, so
Right.
there are people who need that that static drawdown, right? Like they need that. If that's
With the
something
static drawdown, this one
then
wouldn't.
yeah, that's probably going to be a big one. I think people really would like that, honestly.
Okay.
Because I mean, most people I would say are conditioned to trade 50Ks. There are people who say, "Oh yeah, trade the 150." I don't see many. Like I get it. I know people who do. I don't see many do it though. I don't see the majority of people trade 150Ks religiously. Everybody started with Top Step and Apex trading the 50K combines, so they're used to that scale. So numbers bigger than that kind of confuse them or throw them off. And even if they do trade the bigger accounts, they still trade them like the smaller accounts, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Only difference is the drawdown they have. Right. So on their losing days, they'll lose more. So if someone's disciplined, you know, that's probably the move for them. Trade the smaller accounts and stack it. Yeah, I'd be interested to see all that. That'd be a good one, honestly.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, trying to think that up, you know. I'll let you know kind of what it might look like, get your feedback on it.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And yeah, but if anybody has any questions about Top One or what we're doing, what we got going on, you can hit me up on Instagram. I really try my best to be more accessible than any like prop firm owner. I think that, you know, more than likely if you reach out to Michael Patak, you're not going to talk to him. You know what I mean?
I reach out to support, and sometimes like I had a payout like not come for like a week, and then they're like, it took me a week to get a hold of them. They're like, "Oh, we didn't have anything on the books about it." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh, even just to support.
Yeah, I'm like yelling at like the chat bot or whatever. I think I got banned from the chat bot just from.
Oh, right. Nice.
Just blowing it up, and they're like, "Oh, we reset that one for you," like the dialogue. But yeah, I think that's huge. That's really the big thing. If you're able to talk to any company you're trying to do anything with, like if I can't get a hold of somebody, I don't want their product. I don't want anything. So that communication is number one. This world is extremely disconnected. So if you can find companies that connect with their clients and, you know, customers, stick with them.
Yeah, totally. And that's what I try to do. And same thing, you know, because I was like, with you, I was like, "Hey, dude, can I just come on your stream? Just shoot the shit for a little bit." You know what I mean? So
that's how it's got to be, you know.
Yeah,
people connect. We need more of that in this world.
But yeah, no, thanks for having me on. You're gonna wrap it up?
Anytime, man. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. You know, talking through some trades, talking through some life. But yeah, we'll catch up soon.
Cool.
All right. Yeah, take care.
See y'all. Peace.